Guys, I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas and having a great vacation. Guys, vacations are the best time when you can take the break from your work and learn something new. To make your vacations more useful, this video is a tutorial on variables. Hold your thought that you know everything about variables. They are very simple and there is no requirement of a tutorial. Guys, I'm not going to talk about the variables in preprocessors or variables in JavaScript. I'm going to talk about variables in CSS. I'm going to talk about a little bit of history around it, why they are important, how you can use them in CSS, what are the syntax of that, some use cases around that, limitations, and the most important, which all browsers are supporting them. So we all are very well aware of variables. We know they are very simple, but they are very powerful. They help us in maintaining the code, doing the reusability of code, help us to follow the do not repeat yourself rule. They help us in writing the code which we can scale later. And talking about the consistency, let's jump into the CSS. We know that CSS is all about the styling. You are working on a project. Most of the time you don't get the style guide. So what you do, either you dependent upon your naked eyes or you are dependent upon Photoshop. Most of the time when you see a red color, you straightforward just declare red, but there would be the possibility that red color could be another shade of red, and there the consistency start losing because you define the red, but some other developer might go and check which shade of red was it and pick that color. On the same project, if a third developer will come, he will be picking another red color. So this is how the consistency is losing, because every time the red color is getting declared in your style sheet, the value is different. So through the variables, we make sure that only once we declare a red color, and the whole team will be using that variable only. Similarly, when talking about the variables, maintainability of code is very easy to change. If you will not do it in the variable way, what will happen? You need to search for all the values, and that too of the text red color, and then replace it. Variables are very simple, but they are very powerful, and we underestimate the power of it. In JavaScript, we are very well aware of variables. In CSS, sadly, we don't used to have variables, and that was a pain area of every web developer. Thanks to preprocessors, SAS and LS, variable came into the picture, and everyone's life was very happy. In fact, I started loving preprocessors just because of the variable thing. I used to work on the projects which are very rich in UI. I used to have the team of like 3 to 4 developers, and every time maintaining the code, the consistency was a very big pain. Especially when at the end of the day we used to commit our code, CSS is the one file which always create the conflicts. So when I started using SAS in my project, my first thumb rule was to create a variable file, put every styling elements there, and pass the same file to my teammates and give them the directions that if you want to change any value, just update the variables. Other than that, just keep blindly follow that variables. So now moving to the CSS. So as I've said that CSS doesn't used to have the variables, only through the preprocessors we used to have the variables. But thanks to CSS3, now we have the variables in CSS. Jump to the code section where I can show you which all browsers are supporting it, how you can declare it, define it, use it, different use cases and limitations. So this is the code section of this video. This is a sample page which I have created for this particular video. In this I have 3 different headings, few paragraphs, 3 buttons. Each heading and button is having its own dedicated color. Guys, one thing, whatever the example I'm going to show you in this tutorial might sound very simple, but think of these examples when you are working in a big team, on a big project, and you have like multiple style sheets to handle and so on. Okay, so first thing, before my favorite site caniuse.com, to know that what is the status of right now the variable function CSS where we need to check this. Okay, so as per caniuse, Firefox is good, Chrome is good, Safari is good, Opera is good, iOS Safari is good. Okay, Opera Mini is having issue, Android browser 53 is good, Chrome, good. The issue I'm seeing here is with Edge and IE, but if you will move to the Edge 15, they are partially supporting. Guys, I'm repeating the same thing which I repeated in my last video, that do not limit yourself, do not stop yourself by learning something new, implementing something new. If few browser is not supporting it, browser community is working very hard to make everything workable. So have some patience, as well as start educating your clients, your users, your project managers, to make them understand that if a person is coming on modern browser, give him the opportunity to experience the awesome user experience with everything latest. If the user is coming on older browser, pass a message to upgrade his browser. This is how we as a community can grow. Okay guys, so we are good with the browser support. Chrome is supporting, so I'm pretty happy with this. Now let's jump back to the code. So the code is pretty simple. This is my markup, this is my style sheet, everything is simple. First thing first, how to define a variable. Okay, defining a variable in CSS3 is pretty simple. The syntax is this, and if you want to call this variable, you just need to use this. That's it. This is how you define your variable, and this is how you call your variable. Guys, this might sound pretty awkward to you, but the benefit of, not the benefit, but the first thing is why we are using dash dash, because we are working on CSS3, and if you know, in CSS3 whenever we are doing cross browser supporting, we use dash dash ms dash dash webkit. That is why this dash dash is still with variables thing. The benefits of having a different syntax as compared to the preprocessor Sass and less is that now we can combine both variables together. So I can use the Sass variables also, I can use the CSS3 variables also. But thing is, I don't think so there would be any use case where you need the both variables unless and until you are not using a framework. Cool. So by default we declare all our variables at the root level. So same thing, color red. I'm just making a variable, and okay, so I will replace my variable here. I'm replacing the white with this. Okay, so if you will go see, this is how we use it. Okay, so now I want my font base to like 18px, and I am replacing. Guys, now you see I am declaring the font, the variable here, and I'm calling the variable before the declaration. Will this work? Yes, it will work. Why? Because the declaration is at the root level. So it doesn't matter that, as long as I'm defining my variable at the root level, it doesn't matter where I'm calling it in the style sheet. It will always have the global scope. So CSS variables also use the concept of scoping, but now the thing is, if I will move this to this from the root to main div, this will not work. To make it work, what I need to do is I need to just and see, because main is having the scope of font base, as long as I am calling this variable within the scope of main, this will work. So this is how you control the scope for the variables. The next thing is where you can use these variables is, for example, I want to do width 100px. So okay, let's do it here, width see. What more I can do with this is, for example, I want padding 10px. and now I want calc calc, and my width is like 100 into where padding. So if you will see so this is how it calculated the width into padding. My padding is 10, so it multiplied like 1000 and it came it like this. So if one more thing to be noticed here is it will break. So if you are like doing the unit multiplication in the calc, this will not work because this is a bug and the limitation of variables and the calc function. So whenever you are doing a calculation with the variables, make sure that you are doing number and then you are using this variable. Another use of the variables is in the string concatenation. So for example, I want see let's give one space. So this is how you can use variables in multiple scenarios. You can use for the color value, font size value, for the width, for the calculation, for the string concatenation. You can use these variables in the transition. Guys, in the animation, variables are not supported. So this is a limitation, but in future they will be working. The one of the use case of using these variables is when you are working on the web components. I don't know guys if you are aware of the web components. If you are not, I can have a video tutorial on the same. Just let me know in the comment section. So whenever you are making a web component, you try to make those components reusable so that you can give your components to your colleague, your friends to just plug and play with them. There you try to keep your HTML, your style sheet, your logic separated, and only open that particular area which is required for the end user to do tweaking and anything. In that, these variables are very useful. You can